What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the pod. It's been a bit. I was doing really good, consistent schedule. Reels were coming out on the social medias and everything, but sometimes life gets in the way. Very busy. Had the family come down, visit. Had to spend some good time with them, and then school. I love this podcast. I love doing this. This is an amazing thing to do, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I do have other things like school and job and other things to do. So regardless of all that, we're here, and this is probably the most excited I've been to record a pod, just because of the simple fact that this is the card of the year. We went a couple weeks, no UFC. We had a couple Apex cards. They both sucked, frankly. I am so excited to talk about UFC 322 today. This is the best card of the year, in my opinion, and these are two of the best fights of the year, in my opinion, headlining the card, along with absolutely stacked prelims and a stacked rest of the main card. I'm so excited about it. So we're going to go through each of the main card fights, break them down extensively, and then we're going to go talk about some of the prelims. Some movement on the prelims happened just before recording this podcast. So without further ado, let's get into it. Main event, the 170-pound welterweight title is on the line. Della, Maddalena, the new champ, in his first defense, is taking on who I think is the lightweight GOAT, Islam Makhachev. Islam's a minus 285 favorite, which is pretty wild considering he's moving up, and he's not just moving up a weight class, he's moving up a weight class in which there's a 15-pound jump, right? We've seen this. We saw Volk do it when he did fight Islam. He did it twice. And, with that one, even that was crazy. Even Volk looked undersized. And that's a 10-pound gap from weight class to weight class. This is a 15-pound gap. But let me tell you, I saw the face-off today. Islam looks like a 170er. He doesn't look like a former lightweight at all. And it makes sense considering he was a huge lightweight. Everyone called him Khabib 2.0, and he was the Khabib, protege or whatever it was called. And, the big difference between him and Khabib was he was a bigger athlete than Khabib was, and he was a better striker than Khabib was. And that's going to play a factor into this fight for sure. In my opinion, this is the most high-level fight of the year. There have been some banger fights, and sometimes the best fights aren't always the most high-level fights. They're two guys willing to throw and bang and get into these wars. These are two extremely intelligent fighters and two extremely skilled fighters, both in very different ways. And I think this makes this the most high-level fight of the year by far. I think everyone is talking about this fight as the casual, if Islam takes JDM down, he's going to win the fight. I think it's disrespectful to Islam to say if he takes JDM down. I think the dialogue rather should be when he takes JDM down. Because JDM has gotten taken down in the past, and Islam is one of the best grapplers ever. He's going to take Della Maddalena down. There's no question about that. Della Maddalena will get up because, as we've seen in the Bilal fight, as we've seen in the Gilbert Burns fight, when he's been taken down, he's got good enough skills to get up, scramble, get back to his feet. I think the key in this fight is that in between. Not when Jack gets taken down, not after he stands back up. It's that as he's getting back up, because as we know, when guys try to make moves against Islam as they get back up to their feet, Islam pounces on submissions. He pounces on putting you out of the fight. So I really think that this fight isn't going to come down to whether Islam's going to get JDM down, because we know Islam's going to get JDM down. And I don't think it's going to be a matter of if JDM's going to be able to get back to his feet, because we know he's going to be able to get back to his feet. We've seen him do it against high-level grapplers. It's going to come down to, is Islam going to be able to find a Darce choke as Jack's getting up to his feet? Is Islam going to be able to land meaningful strikes as Jack's getting up to his feet? That is the key in this fight, right? The other two, whether he gets taken down, whether he gets up, we know that's going to happen. These are two of the most high-level fighters in the UFC. But Islam is so good. You cannot make any mistakes against Islam. We saw it in round 5 of the Dustin Poirier fight. Dustin Poirier made one mistake, and the second he made the mistake, ankle picked him, boom, Darce choke, good night. So that's what makes this fight so fascinating. Islam does have good striking. Everyone knows that. He's a better striker than Khabib was. He head kicked Volk. I hate that I brought that up, but I had to. But we have seen Islam get caught before. And maybe that's just because Islam has fought a very high level of competition. Obviously, everyone references the Martins overhand. That's the one loss on Islam's career when he got knocked out. But, Volk dropped him a couple times in that first fight. Poirier landed a lethal elbow on him that cut him open, and it's a cut that we still see on Volk's forehead to this day. And then even at the beginning of the Moicano fight, it's hard to tell if that was actually Moicano landed a strike or if Islam tripped, but if Moicano landed a strike, it just proves that point more that Islam is pretty defensively sound, but guys have been able to find openings on him. And JDM, as elite as a boxer as he is, I think we will see Islam, unless Islam puts away Jack, Islam will take some damage in this fight. We've seen him take damage before, and I don't think there's any reason to estimate that it'll be any different in this fight. So that makes it that's another aspect that makes this fight very, very fascinating. I also think, this is my opinion personally, this is probably the hardest challenge of Islam's career. And Islam's fought some really good fighters. Now, maybe not as of recently, because the last 3 title defenses, while all of them are impressive, they're not exactly. It was Poirier kind of towards the end of his career coming off, and Poirier had a 1-fight win streak coming in. It was Moicano on short notice, and it was Volk on short notice. So we really haven't seen Islam fight a high-level guy coming off of a full training camp since that first defense against Volk in Australia. And I think JDM, going from Volk to JDM, even though they're boys, they're from the same country, they're both from Perth. I think they're both Perth guys. It's very different because Volk is a 145er moving up, JDM's a 170er, and Islam's the guy moving up. I think this is going to be a very, very unique challenge for Islam in this one. Islam has some incredible wins. The Volk win was an incredible win. Oliveira was an incredible win. And you can't blame the guy because he fought some short notice guys, but he did what you're supposed to do against them. He dispensed of them in round 1. So it makes it fascinating just because Islam, this is the hardest test of his career. JDM is a legit fighter. He is a championship caliber fighter who is unbelievably good at scrambling and has just the most beautiful boxing. I mean, the way he mixes it up to the body and the head, the way he counters, moves out of the way, counters again. JDM is such a skilled striker. What makes me lean Islam in this one is the simple fact that takedown threat is so real with a guy like Islam. It's so real. And what we've seen, and there was a Dustin Poirier quote about him, he was talking about this. What we've seen from guys who fight Islam, these elite strikers that fight Islam, is they're always a little more hesitant. And they can't really sit down on their punches like they want to. And the reason for that is if you do sit down on a punch, it leaves you way more open to the takedown threat than if you don't. So a lot of these guys, like the JDMs and like Poirier, who are really good at sitting down on their shots and really just landing damage, it's harder to do against a guy who is such a skilled grappler and he's not hesitant to take it to the ground. He has no shame in shooting takedowns. He will shoot a takedown 5 seconds into a round if it's there. That makes it really complicated for Jack. And for that reason, I think I'm taking Islam. I think plus 230 for Jack as an underdog is kind of crazy. I think it's really disrespectful to how good he is and how big of a difference it will be for Islam moving up, because regardless of if Islam is the size of a welterweight, he's never fought a welterweight before. He hasn't. He's only fought lightweights who are usually smaller or as big as him. So now he's fighting a welterweight. It's going to make it a little bit different, but the strength will be there for Islam. He's already freaky strong as it is. This fight, there's so many different angles that makes it so exciting, so fascinating. This is, if you truly love mixed martial arts, if you truly love MMA, this is going to be one of the best fights in a long, long time, because these are two guys who both have their bread and butter. JDM's bread and butter is the boxing, Islam's is the grappling, but they're both unbelievably well-rounded. They embrace their skill sets very, very well. And I'm so excited for this. This is just such a beautiful fight. And I'm leaning Islam right now. But don't count Jack out, man, because a lot of people thought that Bilal would do to Jack what he did to Leon, and that was not the case. And it's very clear that JDM has a really high fight IQ. He has a good corner, good coaching. This is such a fascinating fight, and I'm so excited for it. The co-main event, I think, is equally as fascinating. This, I'm a little mad that this fight is a co-main event. Now, granted, it's on one of the best cards of the year on an MSG card in New York City, but Valentina Shevchenko is defending her belt at 125 against Zhang Weili, who's moving up. This is the best women's MMA fight of all time. It is. And that's why I say I'm a little upset that this is a co-main event, just because I think this could easily be a main event that people would jump all over. It's not only two of the best female fighters of all time, it's two of the most dominant of all time. I mean, what we've seen Zhang Weili do at 115 in recent years is uncanny. I mean, the way that she just dominates her opponents, right? She really hasn't had a close fight since she regained the belt at 115. I mean, the Lemos fight, the Suarez fight, the Yan Xiaonan fight, all three of those fights were not close. It was Zhang Weili dominating them, and it was Zhang Weili dominating them in different ways. What I loved so much about this fight is these are two of the most well-rounded mixed martial artists, period. Not just women, men. These are two of the most well-rounded mixed martial artists, because Valentina Shevchenko, who rose to glory due to her Muay Thai, kickboxing, which is still a factor, has really leaned into the wrestling and the grappling as of recently. I mean, that was a big factor in that Fior fight, and that was the reason she beat Alexa Grasso with the Sphere. So we've seen it from Shevchenko that she can win fights on the feet, on the ground, whatever. And then you look at Zhang Weili and look at her two of her last three defenses at strawweight. Lemos, who is a deadly striker, just takes her down and just dominates her on the ground. Just dominates her on the ground, lands a bunch of ground and pound, lands takedowns at will. Fast forward a little bit, she fights Tatiana Suarez just this February in Australia. And Tatiana Suarez, who is an elite grappler, all of a sudden Zhang Weili is just piecing her up on the feet. And it's crazy because if you want to grapple Zhang Weili, she's gonna force you to strike. And if you want to strike with Zhang Weili, she's gonna force you to grapple. What makes this fight so high level and so interesting is Shevchenko isn't exactly weak on the feet and isn't exactly weak on the ground. She's great in both areas, just like Zhang Weili is. So no matter where this fight goes, we're in for high-level mixed martial arts, and that's what's so amazing about this fight. You know, I look back at that Fior fight in May when talking about Valentina Shevchenko, and her counter-striking was really, really on point, right? Very early. And then as the fight went on, Fior started to engage the grappling a little bit, wear on her on the fence, and it was really, really effective against Valentina, and that ended up being a really close fight. But Manon Fior is a massive 125er and is clearly a top of the division 125er based on her win against Jazz Davicius in Vancouver in October. So, sure, Manon Fior elite, but she's huge. Zhang Weili is moving up a division. So is Zhang Weili going to be able to wear on Shevchenko in the grappling as well as someone like Fior was? Now, Fior isn't exactly a grappler first, but she is big, and that's clear that it's a part of her game. So that I'm a little uncertain about. Is okay, was that a product of Shevchenko's counter grappling not being great, or was that a product of Manon Fior just being huge and being a really good mixed martial artist? I don't know. But Zhang Weili, if the striking's not working, she will go to the grappling. Zhang Weili is also a big 115er, as we saw, as we're talking about with Islam moving up. Right, the size discrepancy really isn't going to be that crazy there. I don't think it's going to be that crazy here between Shevchenko and Zhang Weili. So, I don't know, man. I really, this is such a toss-up for me. But if I had to lean one fighter, I think I'm leaning Zhang, and I think I'm leaning Zhang Weili for two reasons. One, she's just a better athlete in general, right? Shevchenko, I think, as we've seen time go on, is less willing to throw some of the crazy kicks and some of the just what gave her that success and what she rose to glory with originally. I think Zhang Weili is the better athlete. I also just think she's faster, right? Being a 115er, she's naturally going to be faster, and Shevchenko is unbelievably fast, don't get me wrong, but I really think age has been more of a factor for Shevchenko than it has been for Weili. And I think that even though Shevchenko was equally as dominant, it's had to have been in a different way. She's had to evolve as a mixed martial artist. I think Zhang Weili has evolved as a mixed martial artist, but she's gotten better. I don't know if Shevchenko's gotten better from where she was previously. I think she's just changed her style a little bit more. So I do like Weili here just because she's a better athlete and the faster fighter. You know, her being an underdog, granted a very slight underdog, I understand moving up a division, but I just think that she's such a good athlete. It's going to be hard on Valentina to get in on the takedown entries that we've seen her get in previous fights. And I think that the size isn't going to be a crazy thing where Weili's not going to be able to get into striking range. I think she will. I think for Valentina to win this fight, we need to see classic Valentina Shevchenko, right? We haven't seen this as of recently. The unleashing these kicks, right? Body, legs, head. That was her bread and butter for so long. She is one of the best kickers in mixed martial arts, period. So utilize the kicks, beat up Zhang Weili to the legs, to the body, throw some head kicks like we've seen Valentina do. Stay away from the spinning attacks. They were so good for so long, but people are starting to get a read on them now. So unleash the kicks, embrace your speed, and for Zhang Weili, just be a well-rounded mixed martial artist. I think in this fight, it's very, very important for the fighter moving up to be the well-rounded mixed martial artist, and I think it's very important for Valentina, the one defending the belt, to go back to her roots and keep it on the feet and just let your kicks go, let your hands go. Because when she does, Valentina Shevchenko is a horrifying matchup for any woman in mixed martial arts. So this is an unbelievable fight. I'm leaning Zhang Weili, but it could go either way, and that's why this card is so good, because we've got, in my opinion, not just the best mixed martial arts fight, the two best mixed martial arts fights of the year. I'm not talking wars where dudes are just throwing hands, throwing caution out the door, right? I'm talking high-level, well-rounded fighters who know who they are, who have embraced their skill sets. I'm so excited for this main and co-main event. And you know what? There is a lot more to be excited about in this card. We're going to move to the other three main card fights, starting with the featured bout. Welterweight division, we're back there, and we'll be there again next fight too. Number 2 ranked Sean Brady is a minus 135 favorite, so a slight favorite, against number 8 Michael Morales out of Ecuador. Plus 114 underdog is Morales. This is a fascinating matchup. This is a matchup that we see quite often in the UFC. Great grappler versus great striker. The way that I look at this fight is it's Sean Brady, who is the best pure grappler at 170. I'd say even over Islam, hot take, maybe even over Islam if Islam stays at 170, which it sounds like he will, versus Michael Morales, who I think is the best pure athlete at 170. Michael Morales is a freak athlete. He's young, he's explosive, he is so fast, he's so quick on his feet, he has very diverse striking. It makes it a fascinating matchup. We have seen Brady get tagged on the feet before. You know what happened against Bilal? Bilal standing TKO'd him. But he really did do amazing against Leon, who is a striker. But Leon and Morales are very, very different strikers. Leon will be very, very calculated. We'll talk more about Leon, of course, because he's in the next fight. But Leon is a very, very calculated striker. Doesn't exactly, throw bombs. Morales throws bombs, and he is explosive. So it makes it interesting. We've never really seen Brady fight a guy like this. And on the flip side, Morales has fought some like grapplers like Neil Magny and stuff, but no one even close to the level of Sean Brady. So I hate the cliche, if he gets it on the ground, he's going to win. But that kind of is the case with this one. Morales is huge. He's a huge 170er. He is a great athlete. That makes me think, okay, I could easily see him just starching Brady. But I think Brady has looked so good in recent years against opponents of all different sorts, against Gilbert Burns, against Leon Edwards, against Kelvin Gastelum. He's looked good against all these different types of opponents, and we've seen him lose and come back from that. I think a very common theme in this 170-pound division has really just been these undefeated prospects, or these prospects that just go on these tears at 170, they eventually lose. And that doesn't end their career. That isn't like, okay, they're done, right? That isn't the case at all. But 170 is such a good division that we've seen it. We saw it with Sean Brady, who's in this fight. We saw him lose against Bilal Muhammad. We've seen it with Ian Gary. We saw him lose against Shavkat. Whether he fought good in that fight or not, a loss is a loss. We saw it with Carlos Prates, who we'll talk about next fight. He lost to Ian Gary. So we've seen these guys who go to welterweight, join the UFC, they're welterweights. They go on these absolute tears. Eventually, they lose fights. That isn't to say that they won't come back from it, because the three guys that I just mentioned, Brady has won 3 in a row since his loss. Gary won against Prates coming off of his loss. And Prates spinning elbowed Jeff Neal. So these guys at welterweight are so good that losing a fight isn't the end-all be-all. And Michael Morales being an undefeated guy, that makes him scary. But I just think Sean Brady has had the far better strength of schedule. He's fought the better guys. He's been in there with anyone and everyone, different types of styles. And I just think that will be very valuable for Sean Brady in this fight. So I think this will be the first kink in the armor for Miles. I hope I haven't been saying Miles Morales. Michael Morales. Give me Sean Brady in this one. And I apologize. If I've been saying Miles Morales this whole time, I apologize. This is in New York City, which is where Miles Morales Spider-Man is from. And Michael Morales, that's his whole, he does the whole Spider-Man thing. It's unbelievable marketing. You know, I do think more than the fight that I'll talk about next, this is a number 1 contender fight in this division. I don't really care about Shavkat, and frankly, I don't really care about the winner of Bilal and Gary. I think Brady Morales will more than likely be a finish, and if it is a finish, that person deserves to fight the winner of Islam JDM, in my humble opinion. So the next fight, staying in the welterweight division, this is fun. This is probably the one I'm most I don't know. I'm excited for every fight on this card. This card's so high level. Number 4 ranked Leon Edwards. Hasn't been good for Leon lately, and he's a plus 145 underdog in this one, taking on number 9 Carlos Prates, the minus 175 favorite. Truth be told, I love both these guys for very different reasons. I've cooled off on Leon a little bit recently. It's hard not to with the 2 losses, and I just think the performance against Brady was sad. I really do. I'm a big Leon fan. I've always been a Leon fan. But I thought the performance against Sean Brady, he quit. I really think he quit. And I think MMA fans throw out that term far too often. But look at that fight. In what world are you shooting a takedown on a grappler like Sean Brady, who had been dominating you on the ground in previous rounds? I think that really shows that as good as Leon Edwards is capable of being, he won the belt, obviously. He just sometimes just quits in the octagon, and maybe not just quits, but he just doesn't fight ever with any urgency, it feels like. Even the Kamaru Usman fight, it's not like he was fighting with a bunch of urgency leading to that legendary head kick finish. It was kind of just, he was just kind of coasting, and then whatever, and then boom, head kick, it was over, right? Leon Edwards just really always fights in cruise control. He never really ramps up the urgency if he needs to. And this is a 3-rounder. Leon Edwards has not fought a 3-rounder since he fought Gunnar Nelson way back when. So he's going to have to be forced to fight with more activity in this one. If he doesn't, he is losing. End of discussion. Prates, on the other hand, isn't exactly a high-volume striker, but he does fight with urgency. You don't have to throw out a bunch of volume to fight with urgency. Carlos Prates always does. He throws out, even though he's very, very patient, he is always on the front foot. He's always hunting a finish. It feels like Leon Edwards is always content with just point fighting, landing leg kicks, landing the body kicks, the knees, the clinch elbows, and stuff like that. And I just think that this is a 3-round fight. If Leon Edwards doesn't step up, and if he doesn't ramp up his urgency because of this being a 3-round fight, Prates is going to finish him, and there's not even a question about it. Leon's never been knocked out, but Carlos Prates knocked out freaking what's his name, Jeff Neal for the first time. He knocked out Li Jinglang for the first time, the Leech. So it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I just got the notification. I apologize. Aaron Judge just won MVP over Cal Raleigh. That is complete and total BS. Anyways, back to the UFC. I apologize for that, but yeah. Carlos Prates will make you pay if you just kind of like play cautious and just point fight. He will make you pay. So this is going to be a real litmus test for Leon Edwards. This is the fight that is going to make or break the rest of the career for Leon Edwards. And really, this is the fight that's really going to shape how the fans look back at Leon Edwards' career once he's retired and not in the UFC anymore. Because he's lost his last two. Bilal, Sean Brady. The Bilal fight was extremely, extremely close, right? And then the Sean Brady fight wasn't remotely close at all. He hasn't fought a grappler in forever. Or he hasn't fought a striker in forever. All he's fought is grapplers. This is his first true striker that he's fought in forever. With it being a true striker who won't shoot takedowns, will Leon Edwards fight with urgency? Will he come out and let his hands go and let his kicks go? Because if he continues to be this cautious guy that just leg kicks you and is just point fighting, he's going to lose. It's a 3-round fight. You're fighting a devastating finisher. This is the make or break fight for the rest of Leon Edwards' career. And frankly, as much as I really do like Leon Edwards, and I know a lot of people hate him, I really do like Leon Edwards. I also really do like Carlos Prates, and I just think that at this point in their careers, this is a knockout win for Carlos Prates because Leon Edwards will always get into this cruise control where he just leg kicks you and he just kind of point fights and fights in cruise control. Carlos Prates won't let that happen. Carlos Prates will be on the front foot the entire fight. He will stalk his shots, and when he lands one flush, as we've seen, you're done. And he can win via knockout a whole bunch of different ways, right? Neil Magny, it was a piston straight down the middle. That got him on the temple. Charles Radke was a devastating knee straight to the liver. Jeff Neal, it was a freaking spinning elbow at the end of the round, right? He is such a good striker, such a well-rounded striker. And Leon's an elite striker in his own sense. Very more technical, very more, like by the book. But I just think that Prates is going to fight with the urgency that Leon Edwards won't. And I think that will be the difference in this fight. So give me Prates by KO. But just like the other 3 fights that I've talked about on this main card, anyone can win. That's what makes this card so great, is it's so many even matchups that are very fascinating. And the welterweight division is going to be in a much different place come Saturday night than it is right now. It's talking to you guys. So the other main card fight, Beneil Dariush, number 9 ranked. He's a plus 150 underdog against the Frenchman, 13th ranked Benoit Saint Denis, who is a minus 180 favorite in this one. And truth be told, I really do think this could be the fight of the night. I think, sorry, I don't mean to touch the mic there. BSD fights like a complete marauder, and it just feels like all the fights he gets into, just one way or another, someone's bleeding, someone's getting messed up, even if it's him. He throws bombs and he is just fights at an unbelievable pace when it comes to the grappling. And he fought an amazing fight against Mauricio Rufy in September, was that? Or August, whenever that Paris card was. And he shut him down on the feet right away. Everyone wants to talk about Mauricio Rufy tapping and getting taken down and stuff, and that's great. But when the fight started, BSD came at him with body kicks, and it really kind of halted Rufy. It wasn't the grappling that won that fight for BSD. It was what finished the fight, but what originally won the fight was him hurting Mauricio Rufy on the feet with the body kicks and with some punches. So, people... It was really popular to hate on BSD after the 2 losses. The Moicano loss was a rough one. We could understand the Poirier one, and he was fighting good in the Poirier one until he wasn't. But the Moicano one really ruined the perception of BSD. But he came out, he got a win against Kyle Prepelec. That was a short notice fight, whatever. And then he beats Mauricio Rufy, who was a hot prospect, pretty convincingly. If he wins this, then we know that change with the coaching and the gym, right, that BSD went through, that he says, and many say, was the reason he lost those couple fights. If he comes out and he starches Beneil Dariush, then we know, okay, it was the coaching, it was the gym, and now that he's in a better situation, watch out. So that makes it really, really, really fascinating coming into this one. As for Benny Dariush, training at the gym right down the street where I'm from, he'll be up for the task. He's always been up for the task. And as much as BSD fights like a marauder, Beneil Dariush throws absolute nukes with his hands and has elite jiu-jitsu, right? So this is another matchup where it's 2 very well-rounded mixed martial artists. Maybe not at the level of Islam JDM or Valentina Wei Li, but it is one of those fights where it's 2 well-rounded mixed martial artists, which makes it very exciting in my eyes, unbelievably exciting. I think Dariush has had the far better strength of schedule. He's fought the far better fighters than BSD. Granted, BSD's fought Poirier and stuff, but especially when it comes to wins, Dariush has the much better wins than BSD does. But BSD is the far, far superior athlete in this matchup. He just is, and he's far younger. He's far faster. I really think that he looked amazing in those fights back with new coaches and a new gym, and I think that'll continue for BSD here. So he's a slight favorite. I like those odds. Give me BSD a minus 180 in this one. But as we've seen with Beneil Dariush, he finds a way to win fights. He just does. And if you look at his recent losses, his 2 recent losses are to Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan, who are 2 of the best lightweights in the world. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited for this one. And look, the prelims are great too. Surprised this dude's not on the main card. Bo Nickel, he's finally where he needs to be, which is a feature prelim. That's great for Bo Nickel. Minus 205 favorite is Bo Nickel against Rodolfo Vieira, another fighting nerd just like Carlos Prates. Plus 170 underdog is Vieira. You know, Bo Nickel, elite wrestling. Rodolfo Vieira, elite jiu-jitsu. I think this is a Bo Nickel spot here. I think Bo Nickel's the better athlete, and I think, you know, what we saw RDR do to him that caused Bo Nickel to have his first loss in the UFC. I don't think Rodolfo Vieira is capable of that, but it makes it fascinating because Rodolfo Vieira has been around for a while. He has won some fights as of recently. His striking's gotten a lot better, and Bo Nickel, for as good of wrestling as he has, Rodolfo Vieira is one of the jiu-jitsu goats. And what we saw against when Bo Nickel fought Paul Craig a year ago on this Madison Square Garden card was Paul Craig, who is not very scary on the feet, but is unbelievably scary on the ground. Bo Nickel just didn't even want to grapple with him. He just struck with him, and it ended up being a really boring fight between 2 grapplers striking. I hope that we actually get some grappling in this one for once. Or not for once, but you know what I mean. But regardless, it'll be fun, and if Bo Nickel gets a win, he's back on track. If he loses, then we're really looking rough with Bo Nickel. So Roman Kopylov is a slight underdog against RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. This is a banger fight, dude. This is such a good fight. 2 guys who will strike. RoboCop throws absolute bombs. Kopylov is a very, very technical striker. Really, really good kicks, especially to the body. Very, very excited for that one. I think I lean Gregory Rodriguez just because I think the power advantage is very, very different. But we've seen Kopylov, man, you know, he loses every once in a while, but he's active and he comes back and he wins fights. And I really like both these guys in this one. This is a toss-up, and I think we're probably getting a finish in this one, which will be fun. Women's flyweight action. Obviously, we have the belt on the line in the co-main event. Number 4, Erin Blanchfield is taking on Tracy Cortez. You know, Blanchfield is a New Jersey, New York girl, and Tracy Cortez, we've seen the only really like kind of high-level opposition she's fought has been Rose Namajunas, and we saw Blanchfield, if we do MMA math, Blanchfield beat Rose beat Cortez, so you'd think Blanchfield's going to beat, you know, Cortez, but obviously MMA doesn't work like that. MMA math never works. So, you know, I don't know who I lean in this one, but I think this is, you know, whoever wins this is another win away from fighting for the title at 125. So should be a good fight. People sleep on it. Should be a good fight. And then this just happened. I have in my notes Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Hatton. Cody Hatton dropped out, which is really disappointing because I love Malcolm Wellmaker. This dude is a dog, man. This guy has so much power in his hands. He's such a fun prospect. And this was going to be by far the biggest test of his career. Cody Hatton drops out. Now he's fighting a dude who just fought for the bantamweight A1 title on Friday. So 5-day turnaround for this guy going to New York City to fight Malcolm Wellmaker. I would imagine the odds on this one will make Wellmaker the biggest favorite in UFC history. But regardless, it'll be fun to see Malcolm Wellmaker in there. And then, you know, there's some other trades too. There's some other fights too that are really going to be interesting. Beisangur Susukayev, the guy who won a Contender Series, then that same week went and got a win in Chicago, UFC 319. He's fighting Eric McConaughey. You've got Fatima Klein, who I think is one of the most fun women MMA prospects. She's awesome. She's fighting Angela Hill, trying to break into the rankings, and so on and so forth. So that's all I got for this one. I'll be there with a reaction, hopefully Sunday or Monday, to this card. This has been this is going to be the card of the year, in my opinion. I'm very confident in that. Just some high-level mixed martial arts. We're eating, and you know what? This is the second to final ESPN card. Then we're on Paramount, so UFC's trying to take advantage of these ESPN cards while they got them before they make the switch, and I'm excited for it. And I would imagine we should get some announcements for that first Paramount card, UFC 324, I believe it is. So we should get some announcements as to that after those fights or at some point next week. So it'll be exciting. And that's all I got for you guys. UFC 322, it's going to be a banger. And I'm really, really excited from New York City. So I'll be there with the reaction. I'll have an NFL preview pod coming up as well. If anyone's here till the end, as always, I appreciate you. You know it. And yeah, let's watch some fights. I'll see you guys later.